Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Friday. Man, what another crazy week. Thank God it's Friday, right? Isn't that how it goes? I'm a little depressed. Congratulations to the Nuggets. Wow, that was bad. That's all I can say. 2 years in a row. We just, we stunk the joint up and we're out. The Suns are out, and that's all I got to say about that. You know what? I'm not going to say no more. 800-951-0592. Now I say that number. I don't know when yesterday, but sometime around 1 o'clock or so, the 800 number stopped working. Now here's the good news. Sometime between right now, 8 o'clock, and 5 o'clock, it'll be working again. I don't know, it's kind of funny. Used to be they'd give you like between 8 and noon, now it's like, hey, sometime during the day, sometime we'll get that number. What happened to it? Well, we don't know. Our systems and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to give another number. We have a local number. The local number is working. The 800 number could be working at any moment, but 623-780-3117. You can use that. I've got the sales up online at allamericangold.com. I've got a huge $20 gold sale going on, $100 off. You heard me right, $100 off on 20s today. $2,395. We said we'd work on some silver. It was tough. Silver dimes, though. Big savings on silver dimes. They were $137.50, $125 on rolls of silver dimes. 800-951-0592 at some point today, or 623-780-3117, or just do me a huge favor and go to allamericangold.com, go to the shopping cart and order them there while we get this this fiasco figured out. Technology is wonderful. I mean, phones are wonderful. I mean, we've had this 800 number for, 20, I don't even know. I can't even do the math. 27 years, whatever it is. And how it just all of a sudden, it rings, but it actually doesn't make our phones ring. See, it's like a Seinfeld. You remember that Seinfeld episode about the reservation? Right, you had the reservation, but the key to the reservation was actually holding the reservation, right? Actually having the car available. Same thing here. It's great we have an 800 number, but if it actually doesn't ring on our phone, right, doesn't really matter, right? So there you have it. But it'll be fixed. It'll be up and working today. So if I look a little stressed out today, then that's why. There you go, Jason. The Suns suck. The 800 number's not working. But it's Friday.
I think the Phoenix Suns took that Tuesday hailstorm back to Phoenix with them. I didn't watch the game, but I was keeping updates. And when I saw that the Nuggets had 81 points at halftime, I was like, well, I guess that's it.
They almost had 50 points, almost 50 points in the first quarter. I mean, that should be the
So, well, we'll see if the Nuggets get a shot to get the Lakers goat off their back, the monkey off their back, because throughout their entire history, the Lakers always knock them out. So we'll see if they can.
The Lakers still have to win one more game. Now we're assuming they're going to win, but it could still be Golden State. We'll see. They got Game 6 tonight. You know what? At this point now, anybody but the Lakers, and I don't care. and same with Golden State. They've won enough. I want somebody new.
whoever wins that game tonight probably wins the series. Probably is how that goes. I think the Lakers have a tremendous amount of pressure to win that.
Well,
thing,
yeah,
so
the Lakers win,
we'll see.
then it's over. The Lakers just need to win once. Golden State's got to win 2 in a row. We'll see how it goes. So there's the sports.
There's your basketball.
Yeah.
There's your basketball.
There's your
with March Madness 2 months behind us, right? March Madness 2 months behind us. We're still looking at the NBA. So yeah.
Well, this is
for me. It's interesting because the Nuggets have never done it. So I mean, I used to be a big sports fan, so it's interesting to see if they can actually pull it off this time. That's like I told you, if they beat the Lakers in the conference final, there'll probably be a all out celebration after that if they can pull it off. So we'll see. I just won't be in Denver that day.
Yeah, and right. It's just avoided. Here's the bad part for why I'm so set. And you know what? Now it's only baseball. That's all that's left, right? There's no football, right? Hockey. So that just means summer's officially here. I saw the weather forecast. We're going to start hitting 100 degrees pretty regularly starting next week, and then of course. We'll enter into the streak of 100, to 150 straight days of 100+ heat. So here we go. The only good news is maybe the snowbirds have gone home. It just doesn't look like it. I don't even. Is that even a thing anymore? I don't know. It's like
I think they're waiting for the rain. They got to wait for the rain to go away. So we have 3 straight days of rain, or almost going on 4 straight days of rain, Joe. I wouldn't want to come back to what's going on here in Colorado with all the rain. I mean, it's nice to get water, I guess, but it's pretty gloomy around here, Joe.
Well, we're going to try to pep it up here in a little bit. Patriot Radio News Hour. Stay with us. Six 623-780-3117 for today. I just tried the 800 number during the break, still not working. But CenturyLink is on the case, so we can feel better about that. Quick look here at the markets. The Dow is down. It's been down. It's still though 33,000 and change, right? The S&P's off 12, but it's still at 4,100. The Nasdaq down 60. Around 12,000. Gold's down $5, 2015. Silver, man, it's one of those things. So silver's an easy metal to manipulate, but it's down 30 cents here, just below $24. Snap these dimes up because silver has no business being down here. But this is what happens from time to time. Those rolls of silver dimes at $125, and of course the $20 liberties. Here's the great thing: I got 350. There was I don't know. The wholesalers don't necessarily tell me, but the two biggest, there's the largest in the world. They got offices everywhere. They're headquartered out of Texas. The second biggest is headquartered out of Florida. They were both emailing me and Brittany this morning. So something big came up. Who knows? Maybe one of these billionaires was selling, or somebody, a large estate, something of that nature. But $100 off, and gold's down $5. Jason, we don't see that kind of move. Now, granted, the $20 premiums have been outrageous. This really kind of brings it right back into kind of that normal range here, $2,395 on those. But if you're looking for something else, because you're just like, man, I got it. I'm going to get my gold. I got my silver put away. I'm taking care. I'm making sure I don't have too much money in the bank. What do I do with some? Hey, check out our friends at Y-Refi. We've talked a ton about them. I like them. First of all, when I met with Lane, he's a great guy, and he was in the debt markets. That's what he did for a living. And he did a lot of collateralizing the private student loan debt. And he, you ever do a job and you just hate it? Because he knew, he's like, man, it's just bad. Right. He'd be looking at some of these amounts and And, on the private student loan market, I think like 80% of it, not only do you have the teenage / 20-year-old on the line, it's the cosigner too, right? Mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever it may be, and knowing how the banks would operate. Right now, people think, well, it's student loan forgiveness, not on the private stuff. That's just on the federal government stuff. The federal government will only give you $5,000, right? So you can't go to college and get the federal government because it only covers $5,000. That'll be like, okay, that's like 25% of the cost. Where am I going to get? I need another 15, right? So that's where the private stuff comes in. And those people, these banks, they don't mess around. You graduated. 30 days after you graduate, here's your first bill. Well, what if you haven't gotten your job yet? You don't get to do the deferments like the federal government does, right? You don't get to do all these, the federal government, I mean, literally, they set it up. You don't have to make your first payment till you're like 40. Of course, the problem is the $20,000 you borrowed from them is now 100, but you don't have to make that payment till you're 40, not on the private loans. Most of these people, they enter default within the first 6 months that they've gotten their degree. They're in default. And after that, and just like the government stuff, you can't get rid of it. Normally, okay, file bankruptcy, blah, blah, and you got, hey, I got to take 4 or 5 years to get my life back together. Not here. And these people are burdened with this. The co-signers are burdened. Well, you know what? Lane's like, he started looking into it. He's like, gosh, a lot of these people, if they just be reasonable, they can make these payments. And the average person, listen to this, has their entire student loan. They've gone to collection, right? It's done. It's over. They're deadbeats. They got it paid off in 8 years. Heck, they can't. Most people are paying it now. I'm sure a ton of you hearing this are mad as you know what. Because you've been making the minimum payments, the interest-only payment. You've been paying on your student loans for 30 years. You didn't go into default. So I can't help you, but this is the best part. So especially now with the banks and all the crap that they do, I just like these guys a lot. I like what they do. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY, or call them at 888-YREFI24. High rates of return, 1 year, 6.25%. You want to say, hey, I'll give you money for 5 years, 10.25%. Right? It's a great program. At least check it out, right, Jason? Especially now when you got all these guys talking about, hey, don't expect Wall Street to be higher 10 years from now than when it is today.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. This is a good place. I think a very safe place to invest. I mean, all investments have risk, but this is a pretty safe one. And one of the things that makes me like this as an investment is kids are going to go to college. I don't see that stopping. That there's colleges fill up, and even during lean economic times, that's one of the number one things that families want to do is send their kids to college. So these loans are going to be there. And it's kind of vicious where the kid gets out of college and immediately has to make loan payments. They do that for a reason. They know that the banks know that the first thing a kid's going to do is turn around and go right back to mom and dad and hand them the bill. So it just doesn't always work. I mean, 4 years of college, a lot of families' economic situations change in those 4 years, right? It could be a completely different world for a family after the 4 years of college. So this is I think it's a very understandable way for me how it works, which is, look, they set up an escrow and they just test the kids to make sure they can make 6 straight payments, right, Joe? They vet these kids. Here's the thing: is a lot of the people that ask about why refi, they're like, well, how do they know that these are good risk? Well, they have a vetting process to pick out the ones that they know that will work. So Joe said deadbeats earlier, but deadbeats, and there's different kinds of deadbeats, ones that want to be deadbeats and ones that have to be deadbeats. And they find the ones that can actually make the payments, and they give them the money. And then that's where you come in. You invest your money in a safe investment with a good return. And Joe, I mean, 1 to 5 years, that's not a big obligation. I mean, the 1 year for 6.25%, that's not bad, right? And then they'll let you pull your money at any time. You know, a
That's
lot
right.
of investments, there's a lot of penalties and a lot of rules and regulations on it, Joe.
So yeah, and again, Jay, it's the vetting process that makes it all work, and we won't go into too much detail, but the people that they think work, listen, they already know their credit scores are 400. They pull their credit reports. They talk to the signer. They talk to the co-signer. They look at everything. They see their debts, and he goes, "Here's the funny thing. You know what Lane was telling me was most of these people don't have a lot of debt because their credit's so bad that they end up, maybe they've got a really crappy used car with a super high interest rate, right? They really don't have a mortgage, right? They couldn't get a lot of the things they can't do. And the best part is after 6 months, they got to make 6 straight months of payments to Y-Refi. If they do that, that's when Y-Refi buys their debt out of collection. They apply all 6 months to the balance immediately, and then report to the credit bureau, hey, guess what? These guys are paying again. And it's amazing what happens after that. But that's why when they buy it out of collection, they're buying it for pennies on the dollar. And that's why they can give the great rates of return. Anyway, check them out, investyrefi.com. Not a lot of economic data out today. There's the banking pressures are still out there. They're not going anywhere. And again, the fact of the matter is, if you really are looking, it's not just the small and medium-sized banks where the deposits are coming out of. Everyone's even smart enough to realize, hey, I'm not going to keep more than $250,000 in these big banks either. I'm not keeping them anywhere. The whole system, believe it or not, it is a lot more vulnerable than it was in 2008 and when the last time this happened, because most people, we had no idea, right? We were oblivious. We knew there was a housing problem. We really weren't worried. But when you see things now, listen, over half the people in the country are worried about their money in the bank, and that's a problem. Unfortunately, Jason, they should be worried because the realities are some of it isn't the bank's fault. Some of it is, like, obviously, the first 3 or 4 that went under, they just did a poor job. Their risk management was terrible. But now we're talking about these other banks now. Okay, their risk management wasn't great, right? But it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And the problem is a lot of the things that the Fed forces them to do have put them in this situation. And Jason, everybody knows commercial real estate is going to be a huge problem. And we'll see. Yesterday, 264,000 people filing for unemployment claims. If this becomes the trend, just think about where we started the year. Started the year at about 180,000. And then it jumped up to 200, then 225. For the last, month or so, it's been about 240. Now we're at 260, right? If all of a sudden we get to the summertime and these numbers are 280, 300,000, Jason, that's going to be a big difference. And now, not only do you got to worry about commercial real estate, you got to worry about autos, you got to worry about credit cards. A lot of these people are probably going to own a home. Homes may enter into this. There's a lot to be nervous about.
Yeah, we talked about the jobless claims yesterday that came out. I think that's now going to be the number to watch to for sure see what the Fed's going to do. Joe's convinced, and I'm pretty convinced they're going to stop raising the rates. But if the jobless claims go down or kind of go flat, I still think they would raise the rates again and cause more of this slow crashing to happen. But the jobless claims being raised yesterday, if it goes up again next Thursday, they're going to go back to they're going to flatten out the rates. They're not going to raise them, and then it's just a matter of time, right, Joe? That the clock, as soon as they stop raising them, the clock will be ticking for lowering the rates and printing more money, or printing more money, or printing money that we know about, right? Because I think they're printing right now. I think the only way these banks are not completely under right now is someone's under the table, right, Joe? Someone's handing some money under the table. I don't see how it works otherwise, because these banks have been in bad shape last year.
Yeah, then the Fed's borrowing window up again, and really shouldn't be, because First Republic was a huge part of that window, and now these other banks are coming to the forefront. But other things, this didn't get a lot of attention yesterday, but the United States is now accusing South Africa, of course, South Africa, part of BRICS, of supplying arms to Russia. The South African rand has collapsed yesterday and into today, escalating the problems that are going on here. And Jason, again, these war drums continue to beat here. We know about all of these countries wanting to buy commodities in renminbis, and South Africa now, according to the United States, has been covertly supplying weapons to Russia in their war with Ukraine. And this is something that you gotta, these are the unexpected things, right? That hey, this isn't about jobs or inflation or rate hikes, right? These are these other issues. And all of a sudden, are we on the precipice of the next great war, which usually happens when we got currency problems? We'll be back.